yeah.
Over the beach we ride. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, the Transformers.
Uh huh. Now, does that bring back some good old memories or what? Those Saturday morning cartoons, the Thundercats, G.I. Joe. More on that later, but let's talk about Transformers The Rise of the Beast. Spoilers ahead. Now, the first thing to always discuss when it comes to these type of movies is whether all the CGI, the animations, all these action scenes, are they up to par? Do they look cool? Is it actually fun to watch? And for me, the answer is hell yes. Now, I'm not into robots, not my thing, but even so, I really enjoyed this movie. Was it the best? Was it mind blowing in any way? No, but I had a lot of fun watching so many of these scenes, especially in Dolby Surround, where you see it shaking and it's rattling along with all these explosions and all this metal on metal collisions that were going on. Hey, I was pretty engaged, and it's the reason I still love going to the movies to watch them. Now, as far as the bad guys, did they look cool? These guys were pretty menacing from start to finish, man. They were pretty badass. They're a mix of metal and alien scourge, and they seem to be a step ahead of the Transformers pretty much throughout the whole film. Now, speaking of badass, how about the Beast? And look at this handsome ape. Look at that face. Looking all stoic and strong. Shout out to the apes, of course. But all of the beasts, including this, I want to say leopard. I'm not sure they made it clear whether she's a cheetah or a leopard, but either way, she was really cool. There was a huge rhino that was trampling everything around and a fire breathing falcon. Hey, I thought they did a really good job with the beast. I like animals, so watching their creativity and the way they transform into so many things thrown into battle, all that stuff was just sweet eye candy. For me, I can eat that stuff all day. Now, as far as the big boss, the final guy, I'm going to let Mirage tell you about him.
How big can this guy be?
He eats planets. So, like, way bigger than a planet.
Now, Mirage was probably my favorite Transformer. I'm always going to like Bumblebee, of course, but he was voiced by Pete Davidson from SNL, and I thought it was really funny throughout the whole film. He moved the story along pretty well, so he became my favorite Transformer. So, I mean, if you're like me and you just enjoy this type of stuff, all these cool looking things, this movie did very well. As far as the scenery and the location, I have to be a little biased because I am Peruvian, so as soon as I saw the Andes and the mountains, and yeah, I mean, I know it's CGI, but even so, it just brought a smile to my face because, I'm not used to seeing that kind of stuff. I have to say, it's probably the first time that inclusion or representation actually worked on me. And I really like the scene where the ape was talking to the local, the guy that was protecting the artifact, and they were speaking Quechua, which is the Inca language, so it's very rare. I've never seen it in a film, so yeah, it's just another thing that I just really liked, another detail. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the story and the plot, which is probably like the slight downside on this movie. No, it wasn't horrible. No, it wasn't ruined by the plot at all. I thought it was pretty decent, but I just thought that they added a little too much into it. I think they tried to cram everything into one movie, and I see that as a problem that Hollywood has been making a lot with a lot of the newer films. So I wanted to talk about it, maybe offer a suggestion or how I would have done it, maybe. Ah, and what can I say? I mean, I think that the first thing I would suggest is to do it without humans. The movies are mostly CGI anyway, so I mean, why not make it, robots versus aliens versus robots? Why not? Why do we always have to be in the middle of things? I don't think it's necessary, especially since this movie was, I think it's a reboot or a gateway to more movies, which I'm looking forward to. But again, and I know that maybe removing humans is not the ideal thing, but it's something to think about. I wish they would have done it on this one. Now, since they had to have humans, let's talk about what happened with Anthony Ramos, who played Noah Diaz in this movie, right? Let me find here. Here's the part where he's at. He was really great. I liked him throughout. I like his backstory. I mean, they spent the first, what, 30, 40 minutes of the movie telling us his story. And it fit. I mean, he's, grew up in a poor neighborhood, poor themselves. He has a little brother who's ill and they can't afford healthcare for him. Single mother, working hard, barely making ends meet, right? And he can't catch a break no matter what he tries. So he has to resort to stealing a car in order to make some money. Sad, but maybe a little stereotypical, but it is the story of many Latinos. So, I go along with it. And I wish they would have kept it that simple because in this scene here, this is where it all starts getting a little too complicated. This is when the robots want him to go and steal the part of the artifact, right? So they can be sneaky and not have to alert the enemies. So he, of course, says no, and it all checks out. That's until Mirage talks to him and offers him money, and that kind of gets him going, and he agrees to it. As simple as the story sounds, I think that was perfect. It's like, now let's watch it develop, go with it. But instead, not 10 minutes later, they're kind of giving him the whole weight of the world. Like he goes from having or wanting to make some money into being the savior of not only our planet, but Transformers planet. And then it just starts getting too fast, too thick for one or two people to carry this story. That's how I felt about it. Again, no, it didn't ruin the whole movie or anything. It was all right. Plus, like I said, I think Anthony Ramos is actually a pretty cool guy. So I hope he stays around. Now, I want to show you real quick why I wanted to even mention it because I'm going to play about a minute of The Lord of the Rings, the tales that really matter, which is something that if you've seen the movies, you know what I might be talking about. But I want to show my point.
How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. The shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going because they were holding on to something. What are we holding on to, Sam? There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for.
Okay. So if you haven't seen these movies, you might look and think like, what's this guy whining about? It's like everybody else seems to be fighting. Why isn't he getting up? It doesn't really have the effect that this scene actually does to anybody that has seen the movie. If you have seen it, you know that there's been probably about 6.5 hours worth of storytelling before a scene like this. And you understand the magnitude or the importance of this scene, especially since, Faramir had captured Frodo and, he was willing to give up his life once he realized how important it was to let him go. Um, few comments here like everyone says they need a friend like Sam, but everyone forgets that they should try to be like Sam. Pretty cool. The importance of this speech is sorely missed. Frodo just tried to kill Sam, his best friend, someone whose time and time again has shown that he will lay his life down for Frodo. And instead of being angry, Sam understands. If you know the film, you kind of feel what they're saying, right? That's exactly what it's about. And I'm going to finish with this one. Now, you can tell how much heart was put into this trilogy. We had no interest in putting our message into this movie, but we thought that we should honor Tolkien and putting his message into it. That's by Peter Jackson, 2002, producer of this film. That's where my question lies. Like, this is a storytelling, right? This is what makes movies great. Where have these guys gone? It took Lord of the Rings 3 huge movies to tell us a really good story. What I think Hollywood is doing too much of lately is just trying to cram the weight of the world into one movie, and no matter how hard you try, it's just too much. And you should just take your time with it. Why didn't you just go with the one plot at first? It makes perfect sense that, Anthony Ramos, he needed the money, and it's a very legit reason. He wants to save his brother, help his mom, save himself. Why not keep it at that and let the story just develop little by little? Maybe make a heroic, task, sacrifice something during the rest of the movie. And then you let the people that are watching it actually be the ones who, interpret what he's going to be, if he's going to be good. Now, the reason I talk about this so much is because, yeah, if you watch it, then they hinting towards this.
Yo, Joe! He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe against Cobra, the enemy, fighting to save the day.
Now, finally, Hasbro has taken the bull by the horns, and hopefully they're going to make some G.I. Joe. This IP is so good. And the people that grew up with it are pretty much, we're getting up there. So during all these years, they've had maybe a couple of crappy movies so far, but they've missed out. So I am hoping, of course, judging by the ending of Transformers, that they're going to have some kind of something built up here. Why not? You have an open door since Marvel decided to just pretty much get rid of the Marvel Universe. We'll see where that goes. But listen, I want them to do good because, I'm interested. I may not be a dad, but I do have a nephew, and I would like to show him all this stuff, go to the movies and whatnot. And I would love to show him some G.I. Joe. I grew up with it. I loved it. And I think he would like it if he gets a chance to actually do, see cool things. Now, I'll end with this. I don't know if you've heard about Snake Eyes because it came out during the pandemic. So not very many people saw it. We liked it a lot. We thought it was very well done. And it's probably the best G.I. Joe movie. They left us hanging. They showed that they were going to be making a lot of G.I. Joe origin stories. So I hope they keep up with it. And in case you haven't seen it or you haven't heard about it, check this out.
For 600 years, our ninja have brought peace to the world. I believe in you.
All right, what do I have to do?
I gotta get in my zone now. The 3 challenges of the warrior. I'm on a new level.
The 3 challenges in the what now?
If you survive, you will gain access to our knowledge and our power.
That's Scarlet.
Cobra is coming.
What's Cobra?
A shadow organization devoted to global revolution. I've been following you for some time.
Do I know you?
I know you.
Whew. Baroness, man, as a kid, seeing her come to life.
Snake Eyes.
Join us. This is your destiny.
Now, again, if you missed out, check it out. I was actually going to put it on my other playlist. This movie was fun, and it kind of gives you hope that we can create a new franchise, a new IP, and hopefully get some better movies out there. Anyway, I'll end it with that. I hope I wasn't too confusing. But overall, yeah, I mean, Transformers, it's a watch. I really, really had a good time, and I hope that you agree. Let me know what you thought.